everyone, it's Chris Thurgood from my girlfriend's quilt shop, and today I am so excited because I'm going to show you how to do some great applique blocks found on the brand new Kimberbell Falling for Autumn quilt. This quilt is amazing. It has all the things. We've got leather and cork and mylar. In fact, in today's video, I'm actually going to be using some corded sweater material, if you will, in order to make these darling fall sweaters. So, are you ready to get started? Let's go. Before we begin with this block, let's go over just a few things that you'll need. First off, you'll want to have the Falling for Autumn machine embroidery book and CD. You'll notice that the CD is included right here at the front of the book. There are no better instructions you'll find out there than the ones from Kimberbell. I'll tell you what, it goes through step by step how to do each and every block. It's amazing. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do some of the blocks in these series of videos. In addition, you'll want several different Kimberbell stabilizers, including the Kimberbell Project batting, the fusible backing, the light mesh cutaway embroidery stabilizer, and wash away topping. All very, very important, as well as some Kimberbell paper tape. This is going to become your best friend. I promise you that. If you'd like, we also have kits available through my girlfriend's quilt shop. So this is the Falling for Autumn Quilt Fabric Kit from Maywood Studios. When you open it, you're going to see an embellishment kit. Now, normally the embellishment kit is sold separately, but we've included it in your fabric box right here. So all of the fabrics you'll need have been cut and are ready to go. If you're looking for threads, we've got you taken care of as well. So we have both the offerings of Hemingway thread and glide thread in a set of 12. And you can find these embroidery thread kits at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. And of course, I love the Kimberbell scissors. They are amazing for doing embroidery work. I think you're going to fall in love with them just as much as I have. So my recommendation before starting any Kimberbell quilt is actually to do all of the cutting right from the very beginning. I promise you, you'll be so much better prepared and have a lot more fun if you'll just take the time to prepare, cut it all out, and have everything ready to go. For example, you can see right here that I looked at pages 4 and 5 and I could see all of my cutting instructions right there. And then I was able just to take some Ziploc bags and be able to section it off. For example, this is cozy sweaters. Everything's ready to go here. My peace pumpkin, my scented candles, my velveteen patch. I mean, even my peace star is right here all ready to go. It's something I highly recommend you doing because ultimately in the long run, it's going to save you so much time. So take the time now to get it all cut out and prepared, and then let's get sewing and embroidering with all the fun. So for this first block, we're going to go ahead and do the cozy sweaters. They are so cute. Let's go ahead and take a look at page 14 in our book. You'll notice in yellow that it says the 5x7 hooping instructions are found on a separate PDF file. Instructions below are for an 8x12 hoop. So even for those of you who may have smaller hoops, it's nice to know that there is a separate file and direction set for those of you with a 5x7 hoop. But for today's video, I'm going to go ahead and use my large hoop and be able to do this design in one hooping. You'll notice that the fabric for the background is already been laid out for you, plus the plum sweater knit fabric and the fall lilac sweater knit fabric. And then it asks us to use a wash away topping, which is this piece right here. And you'll see why in just a minute, why that's important. All right, so let me go ahead and pull these out of my little bag here. And you'll notice that I have this knit fabric already cut out. And you'll also notice that it's already been lined with Kimberbell fusible backing. Now, this is a very lightweight fabric and it's used to just give a little bit more stability to your pieces rather than have it be so flimsy that it becomes a little more difficult to stitch and sometimes can add puckers to your embroidery. So I highly recommend doing that on this project, as well as I put it on the back of my background fabric. You'll also notice that I've pre-cut my batting to go in the hoop. Now for today's demo, I'm going to actually do the background quilting and the embroidery as one. So if you choose to do the background quilting, there is actually a separate purchase that you can find at Kimberbell.com to be able to download those background quilting files. And I promise you will definitely want to do it. They're amazing, they're absolutely adorable, and I think really add to the fun of this quilt. If you choose not to do background quilting, no problem at all. The directions are you're going to follow exactly as written in the manual. Okay, so if you do choose to do block by block quilting, you can see right here that the design that they've selected is KDQ 211 Weave 2. It's the 6x12 horizontal design. So what I'm going to do is head over to my machine, and I'm going to bring up that background quilting first, and then I'm going to lay the actual applique designs for the sweaters on top of that. All right, if that's not quite clear, let's take a look at the machine and see what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and wake up my machine and go to embroidery, and my files are found on my USB stick. Now I go through a couple pages to find my design here, and I'm going to bring up the KDQ 211 6x12 and go ahead and set it in my hoop. Now, before I go to embroidery, I'll actually do the add button right here, because this is where I want to find my sweater designs, right? So go through there, and there we go. My sweater designs come up, and I hit set. You're going to notice that it will automatically center that design into the hoop, which is pretty awesome. Now, you may also notice it seems like there's a little bit more space here at the bottom than is on the top. Don't you worry about that one bit. It's there on purpose because that's where a little signage will go afterwards. So don't worry, this is exactly centered the way we want it. Okay, so with both of those items being now in my machine, I'll go ahead and hit embroidery. And you'll notice that on this top right hand little box, it shows us what step is going to stitch out next. And because I have the background quilting already in here, what it's going to do is show the placement outline for my batting fabric. Okay, so I'm going to start out with putting my 9.5 by 14-inch hoop in here, and I have light mesh cutaway stabilizer inside of it. And I'll put my foot down and hit begin. And again, this is going to stitch the placement outline for my batting. So with this placement stitch already stitched out, now I know exactly where I can put my batting. So I just want to center over top of it, making sure that all of the outside lines have been covered. And now we'll do the tack down stitch. Before I proceed to the next step, I'm going to take the hoop out of the machine and trim the excess batting away. And to do that, I'll take out my duckbill scissors from Kimberbell. I'm going to have the duckbill facing the batting and just trim along. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my hoop back into my machine, and this time it's going to do a placement outline for my fabric. One thing you're going to notice is that placement outline is actually going to sit 1/4 inch beyond the batting. Now this is important to note, and this is the reason why we trimmed our batting, is because we need to allow, when we put this together, that the batting is not in the seams to reduce the bulk there. Now with my background piece lined with the fusible backing, I'm ready to go ahead and make sure it's placed in the center just over the placement outline, making sure that entire outline has been covered. And it's going to do a tack down stitch for this block. Now normally I would go ahead and cut out the excess fabric like a normal applique. But this time we don't have to do that because we'll trim it up afterwards in order to make it the size of block we want. So if you take a look at the screen in front of you, you'll notice that this design is the background quilting. I'm so excited for that cable knit. I think it's going to be super cute. So I've actually selected a thread color that is a little bit different from the background. So depending on, if you want it to really stand out, the background quilting, choose a different color thread. If you want it to kind of melt more into it, then choose a thread color that matches more to your background. This is so fun. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Okay, so now that we have our background quilting finished, it's time to go ahead and start following these directions as outlined on page 14. So you'll notice that the first thing to do is that we are going to stitch the sweater 1 placement line. Then we're going to place the sweater 1 fabric right side up, which is going to be this one. And I just love the feel and look of this. It's got the fusible backing on the back as well. And then we'll go ahead, do the tack down, and we will trim it close. We'll repeat those same steps with the second sweater as well, and then we'll do some instruction from there. So first, the placement outline. Okay, I'll go ahead and place this over top, again, making sure that the entire outline has been covered. And I'm going to use my Kimberbell paper tape just to do a couple of small pieces, just to kind of hold it tight to prevent it from shifting around while it stitches. Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and put my foot down and the tack down stitch will stitch out. I'll carefully remove my hoop from the machine and bring it back over to a flat surface so that I can cut the excess fabric off. Always, always, when you cut, do so on a flat surface. You don't want to take the risk of it popping out of the hoop during this process. So sometimes that could happen if you just have it on your lap or if you're trying to do it at an angle. It could have, more of a tendency to pop out. So my recommendation is always take the time to put it on a flat surface and you'll be much happier with your results. Okay, I'm ready to go ahead and stitch out sweater number 2. Carefully place my fabric over top of the outline. And again, make sure that your stripes in the fabric are going up and down. And sometimes if you need to do a little trimming, I like to use the little flexi snips from Kimberbell just to come in and just do some fine tuning around the edges or corners, anywhere that I was unable to get a really close up cut to those stitches. All right, back into the machine it goes. And let's go ahead back to our instructions on page 14 and take a look at what's next. All right, so we just finished trimming close to the stitch line on both sweaters, and now we're going to use this stuff. This is wash away topping, and this is awesome because when doing stitches on anything that has like a loft or a nap to it, such as toweling, or like this, such as a knit cable sweater, the stitches could have a tendency to sink down and you wouldn't see them as well. So by using this topping, it keeps those stitches up above the fabric, which is exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tape it in place over top of both sweaters as outlined here. It's going to then stitch out the satin outlines for both sweaters 1 and 2. And make sure that when you do that, you switch colors, okay? So the thread colors, because both sweaters are a different color. All right, so let's head over back to the machine, and I'm gonna, again, place this topping over both sweaters at the same time, and use my paper tape. Just cut off a couple pieces here, just to hold it in place while it stitches out. All right, so with that ready to go, I'm ready to do my satin outline, and I'm going to use this dark plum color. It's beautiful, and let's see the magic happen. Time to switch out thread colors, and we'll go ahead and do sweater number 2. Okay, so at this point, you're going to be stitching out the yarn, and because that yarn ball comes off of the second sweater, I'm going to go ahead and keep the same thread color. Time to finish off sweater number 2. All right, so we're going to switch out the thread color. And this one, if you're following along and you're wanting to use glide threads, it's Tea Berry is the color I've selected. And let's go ahead and put this through the machine. Easy peasy. Thread that baby and put down and begin. All right, so the final stitch out is going to be the needle fill on these knitting needles. So I'm going to switch it out for a different color. And the other thing I want you to notice is that I actually did not take away the wash away topping. It did say in the book that I could have taken away the outside of it earlier, and I just didn't. And that's really okay, because even if, I mean, I could take it off now, but even with the thread going straight onto it, it's not a problem because the excess will be removed here in just a minute. Okay, so there's one last step, but I want you to take a look at page 15 in the book because it's really, really important. In fact, it's so important it's highlighted in yellow. It says, do not stitch this step. All right, that is a line there for digitizing purposes only, so make sure that you don't stitch that out. And let's say you do on accident. It's not a big deal. You can simply pull it out with your seam ripper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this from the machine, and I'm ready to also remove it from the hoop. All right, so now we have this wash away topping that we just need to quickly remove, and most of it will be really easy because it's just going to tear away. See how simple that is? But in the middle here, it's not going to really tear away as easily. It's going to involve a little bit more effort. So there's a couple things you can do. The reason why it's not doing that is because there's a lot of stitching over top of it, right? So you can see that that needs to be removed. I can do a couple things. The first thing I'm going to do is actually take my little set of tweezers here, and I can just kind of like put that underneath there, and you see it just pops right out. All right, so I can just go like that. I'll do another one to demonstrate. So some of these bigger areas are really easy to just pop out with your tweezers. However, you're going to get these smaller areas that are going to be kind of, well, let's just be honest, a little bit of a pain to have to get in there, right? So no problem at all, because this is wash away topping, which means it's going to wash away with cool water. So what I recommend is that you pull out the bigger, larger pieces, then simply fill a bowl with cool water, submerge it in the water, and within 20 seconds, it's all disappeared, which is pretty awesome, right? So that is how you do a basic applique block. Now, to be able to trim it up, go ahead and just pay close attention to the instructions found in your book. You can either do it with the orange pop rulers or by measuring with a regular ruler, doing a few more measurements, and it actually goes together pretty quickly. So good luck. This is, again, a great way to do applique, wouldn't you say? So fun to do it on the embroidery machine. And the really cool thing about this quilt is you have lots of chances to practice. So if you take a closer look, this is where you're going to do the same exact technique, whether it has to do with the pumpkins, the houses, the truck, the chair, even the little chipmunks are done the same exact way. So it's just a simple applique. You got placement, you have tack down, and you have the satin stitching. So super simple to do. Applique is so much fun with an embroidery machine. Have a great time doing it. I can't wait to see your photos. Make sure and post them. Tag us on social media at My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop, and of course tag Kimberbell Designs. And good luck with your Falling for Autumn quilt.